So I want to remind you of what we've been doing to protect you. We place hand sanitizer stations throughout the buildings, including elevators and hallways. We have propped open frequently used office doors, and we have directed Public Works to take extra measures to clean light switches, elevator buttons, door handles throughout the day, every single day. And we have also provided all department heads with face coverings for employees to have upon their return. And many departments have been provided substantial PPE resources over the past few weeks. Finally, we have completed weekly deep cleanings of all buildings open to the public. We have taken every measure possible to keep our employees safe. Even with the 2,500 plus employees we've had, only 6 cases of COVID-19 among our employees. 4 of those employees remain quarantined, and 2 have fully recovered and returned to work. Our measures are extensive, and we've proven in 2 months, 8 full weeks, that they can work if we embrace them. Now, many of you want to hear how we're going to handle many things related to the city's full return on May 18th. But before we do that, I want to say one more thing. If you haven't heard me say it yet, I am aggressive about asking for data to support many of our decisions. Our decisions to shut the city down was based on public health data. Our decisions to put forth a curfew and face covering ordinance was based on public health data. However, the state's decision to open Alabama was clearly not based on public health data, but on other factors. That decision has many consequences for all of us, especially our small businesses and workers, many of whom are returning to work and attempting to find their new normal. As our residents and businesses re-engage our city, we need the rest of our team back to serve them. I want to remind you, our residents have not stopped paying taxes. That's worth repeating. Our residents have not stopped paying taxes. And as their demand increases, our 2,500 employees that have been working every day, shouldering the load for the rest of us, deserve to have a fully productive workforce. That's why we need everyone back and fully engaged. For our residents, for our coworkers, for our city. This is the data that drives my decision. And with that, I've asked several members of my leadership team to join me and help address a number of issues. And so first, I'd like to invite our Chief of Staff, Cedric Sparks, and Chief of Operations, Kevin Moore, to share an update on return to work protocols. Now you'll receive staff updates from our Chief of Staff, Cedric Sparks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning to our fellow City of Birmingham employees. So as we look to return on next Monday, there are some core things that we need for everyone to keep in mind. The first thing is the spirit of how we move in the City of Birmingham. It's our mission, theme, and core values. You've heard us say it very often, but it's literally what drives us, both internally and externally. So you know that our theme is putting people first. That's both internal and external. Our concern for our fellow employees, as well as our concern for our citizens. Let's make sure that as we look to protect ourselves, keep ourselves in a safe space, that we'll remember to put them first, employees and citizens. Secondly, building community through servant leadership. Our servant's heart requires us to lead in that space. And then finally, our core values, which we commonly refer to as CETA. Customer service is always the order of the day. Efficiency, effectiveness, transparency, and accountability. As we return, and as we look to move back into the space of the service that we provide, please keep our mission, theme, and core values top of mind. Now, there are some specific things that I'm sure that many of you are wondering, okay, how do we really move back into this space? The first thing is for many of our facilities. We've tried to break down how we will use our facilities into 3 buckets. The first bucket is for our employees. As our employees are returning, we are strategic in how and when we're infusing you back into that workspace, and we know that citizen engagement is top of mind for you. So the first thing is employee return. That's priority number 1. Getting you back in, getting you acclimated to working in your space. Number 2 is how do we engage the citizens? That decision has not been made yet. So to open the facilities back up for citizen involvement, whether they're coming to patronize the Museum of Art, our libraries, our rec centers. We're going to be doing that in consultation with the directors from those departments, as well as many of them who have board leadership. So citizen engagement in many of our facilities has not been finalized. Again, we're using data over dates to make those decisions, and we're using best practices from around the country with many of their peers. The third bucket for our facilities are, one, smaller gatherings, because many of our citizens and many of you use our facilities to host meetings. There are some smaller meetings that we are looking to really allow based on in-person numbers. Again, we want to encourage virtual meetings, but there are some that we are considering. Move to the middle tier, which is medium-sized events. Again, we're allowing our facilities to make recommendations to us on what they can successfully accommodate with the appropriate social distancing and making sure they keep the employees as well as the citizens protected. The biggest bucket will be major events, concerts, weddings, gatherings of that nature. No decision has been made on events of that nature. Again, we're using data over dates, and so there will be inquiries about the utilization of those facilities, but we're not making decisions on when they'll be utilized for that until we have enough data to make sure that we can keep everyone in safe space. Look forward to more information from our directors regarding facilities soon, but again, break it down into those buckets: employees, citizens patronizing the facilities, small, medium, and large size gatherings. On the last two, we're using data over dates to make those decisions. The next thing is, many of you are probably concerned about what we're going to do to keep you protected, as well as as those of you who are here and those who are returning. We're going to be doing random temperature checks. So this is letting everyone know before you return, although there's not a daily check upon your entry into the buildings, our City Hall security detail, as well as the rest of our security detail, will be going around every single day to our departments and our divisions doing random temperature checks, just to make sure that we use that as a foundational way to determine where our employees are. Due to many of the changing ways to evaluate whether or not our employees have COVID-19, what we've decided is that the random temperature checks are step number one. Then we will follow our HR protocol if employees' temperatures are irregular, and then we will walk out the protocols from there that will possibly include testing or some other form of evaluation. So we were doing random temperature checks. We encourage you, if you do not feel well, please stay at home, and please check temperatures at home prior to coming to work as well. All right. Customer barriers and staggering. So those are two things. For many of our departments that are public facing, we're doing a couple of things. Department of Public Works has been doing a fantastic job, as well as our operations team. You'll hear more from Chief Moore, but our operations team has been working diligently to make sure that as employees return for the departments who deal a lot with the public, that there are barriers, like many of you have probably seen in many of our grocery stores or any other place that deals with a lot of customer-facing, that has a lot of customer-facing responsibility. So some of our departments will be fired up, ready to go with regards to barriers, but some of them are in the process of doing it because, again, the Department of Public Works is helping to shore that up. So just know that we have that top of mind, that we're going to be doing customer barriers. In addition to that, our IMS team will be working closely with many of our departments to help keep down the number of people who are in many of our spaces from the public. So we're going to be using a staggering method. This is more for our citizens. Places like Municipal Court, Department of Public Works, what we'll be using is a text messaging system that our citizens can wait in the car, and they will receive a text when it's time for them to come in to be serviced. This is to eliminate crowding in many of our spaces, to keep the citizens safe and to keep you as employees safe. The next thing is, obviously, we're wearing facial coverings upon everyone's return. However, and we're going to make certain that our security detail holds everyone accountable. However, if you as employees upon your return see employees or citizens not wearing facial coverings, we're asking that you don't engage them. We ask that you make the security detail aware. If they're employees, make their department heads aware, or make their respective department leadership aware, and then we will walk out the next steps with regards to making sure that all of our employees are following the protocol. This is a mandate. If you're serving in the city of Birmingham facilities, you must wear a facial covering. However, we don't want employees engaging one another. We're going to be covering leave very shortly. So I know that there are many questions about leave options. We've had a significant number of questions about telework. You will be pleased to know that Mayor Woodfin has been very diligent in his planning for both staff who are here and staff who are not. And so we're proud to announce that we will be providing a telework option for our employees whose positions allow them to do so. We will be working very, very closely with our HR department as well as our department heads to provide you with more information. But again, you'll hear a little bit more about that from our HR director, Ms. Jill Madizik. More information is to come. At this time, I will invite up our Chief of Operations, Kevin Moore, who will give us a few operational updates, and we'll be back very shortly to provide you with more information. Chief Moore.
Good morning. It is definitely a great opportunity to be before the City of Birmingham employees. I want to go over a few operational items so that you'll be ready on May 18th when you return to work. Executive Order 8720 B1M states all employees are required to wear face coverings while at work or in city facilities. Therefore, the City of Birmingham has purchased face coverings for all employees and have delivered those face coverings to the department heads. We ask that you get with your department heads and supervisors on May 18th when you return to work to make sure you obtain those face coverings. But we also encourage you to bring your own or wear your own face covering. Some additional operational items. The City of Birmingham has taken the effort to make sure that we clean and sanitize our buildings. We have worked with an outside vendor for several months, and we've also worked with our Department of Public Works to ensure that they have all the needed sanitizing supplies, as well as the training they need to provide the sanitizing for our facilities. So be on the lookout. We will be distributing more information to department heads to assist with that. Additionally, one of the biggest challenges we have is in confined space. So what we're doing is looking at ways in which we can address those issues in areas where we have to maintain 6-foot distancing. One of the most challenging confined spaces is our elevators. So we are asking that we limit the amount of people on the elevators to 4 people. And we also encourage you to take the stairwell. As Chief Sparks stated earlier, we are working to address barriers in departments. We'll continue to work with the Department of Public Works, and we'll make sure that we provide those resources to the different departments. Thank you. I think at this time, we have Ms. Jill Madizik who's going to bring some more information.
Good morning. We have recognized that our employees have concerns relating to childcare, providing the necessary guidance to their children to complete the school year, and concern about returning to work because of underlying health issues. For those individuals with underlying health conditions, the Family Medical Leave Act provides employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid job protected leave. FMLA is designed to help employees balance their work and family responsibilities by allowing them to take reasonable unpaid leave for certain medical reasons. The city does provide up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave if you have a medical condition which your doctor advises you to stay at home for. If that is the situation, you would be using your own personal sick leave or vacation time. For our individuals who are concerned about childcare or schooling, expanded FMLA for COVID-19 is available to you. This provides for up to 12 weeks of leave for eligible employees because of the lack of childcare or schooling for children 18 and under. This is paid leave at 2/3 of your wages, up to $200 a day. You may also use your vacation and sick leave for the remainder of your salary. This also provides job protections. Again, for either one of those leaves, please contact HR at loa@birminghamal.gov. Finally, as Chief Sparks indicated, many of you have inquired about continuing to telework. I'm pleased to announce that the city is working to create a telework policy that will allow employees to work off-site for all or part of their work week. Overall eligibility for telework will be based on whether a particular job can be done off-site. This determination will be made based on the job tasks and duties. Please understand that not all jobs can be done off-site. Only employees whose job-specific requirements are compatible with telework will be allowed to telework. Additionally, anyone who is allowed to telework must agree they will report to the office when requested. It is anticipated that the telework policy will be implemented during the week of May 26th. Additional information will come out next week relating to that. I also would like to indicate that most of the things that Chief Sparks and Chief Moore have spoken about have been incorporated into the revised executive order, which you have already received or should be receiving in a few minutes. It does reiterate the need for employees to wear face coverings when they're at work. It also provides that when you come to work, you're self-certifying that you do not exhibit the signs or symptoms of COVID-19. You're also agreeing that you will be subject to random temperature checks as well as questions relating to your symptoms to ensure that you're complying with the policy. Finally, the travel restrictions have been lifted unless you are traveling to an area which is international and is still on the watch list at the CDC. In those instances, you may be required to self-quarantine upon your return. There are also additional steps that will be taken to make sure that employees notify us if they have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or if someone in their household has been diagnosed with COVID-19. We are doing our best to track and trace all of those individuals, and we have been successful so far and have limited the spread of COVID-19 with the few cases that we've had here at the city. At this point, I will turn this back over to Chief Sparks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jill. Before we open up for the mayor to come back and address a few questions, there's one other item that we want to make sure that employees are aware of, and these are leave options / solutions. So the mayor and his executive team have been diligent in creating options that employees can take advantage of. And while there's no one option that fits all, we have tried to come up with multiple ways to make sure that you have some relief, that you also have support. So in addition to some of our community partners who have stepped forward to provide both child care responsibilities as well as support, the city is also creating what's called a May Day Camp. It's a support camp for young people ages 5 up to the age of 12 that allows for parents who have children in that age group to bring their children to both the Boutwell and the Crossplex. They will be provided with academic support because we know that school is still in for the next couple of weeks, the virtual learning for school. And so there will be support there provided for those young people. So you should have received this information via all users. If not, you can feel free to contact the Office of Public Information, or you can reach out to either the Division of Youth Services or the Park and Recreation Board for more information about the May Day Camp. So in all, I want to make certain that we capture opportunities that are available for employees during this time. First of all, the City May Day Camp. Second of all, if you have not seen the list of community partners who provide child care options, that information was sent via the Office of Public Information, but you can also reach out to the Department of Human Resources to find out about child care options that are available for smaller children. Again, you have the opportunity to utilize FMLA as well as your leave. If you need clarity on how that works, again, feel free to contact the Department of Human Resources. And then our telework option, which will be rolled out very soon, as an opportunity for employees to both do their jobs from home if their position allows them to do so. But again, That process, because the city of Birmingham has never had a telework option, so we do want to salute the mayor and the leadership team for working diligently. That process is still being finalized, and there's going to have to be a significant amount of coordination with our department heads as well. So that'll be an education campaign on how the telework policy will work. But again, we did want to add that as an option for employees, all in an effort to support through this very unpredictable time. So we'll punt back now to Mr. Rick Journey, and we'll begin the Q&A. The mayor will come back up as well, and we'll try to answer as many of your questions as possible. Rick.
Thank you, Chief Sparks. Just a reminder, once again, we got a number of questions. We're going to go to that next. But if you are wanting to ask a question and you're by phone, you can text your question to 205-807-8231. That's 205-807-8231. You can also text your questions to 205-335-2348. That's 205-335-2348. If you're viewing this online on Cisco WebEx, you're able to ask your question in the Q&A section of the WebEx screen. We want to remind you this WebEx meeting is being recorded, and you will be able to view it at birminghamal.gov/COVID policy. Later this afternoon, it'll be posted where you can watch it. And just a reminder, Ms. Madizik mentioned the executive order. It will be posted on birminghamal.gov/COVID policy as well, so that'll happen momentarily. With that, I'm going to ask the mayor to come back up to the podium, and I will ask the first question is on May 18th, what will be the attire for city employees?
Thank you, Rick. That's a pretty simple answer. For the next couple of weeks, starting May 18th and probably to the end of May, what we will do is allow our employees to wear business casual. So business casual will be for the 2 weeks of working in May, and then we'll assess after that the actual attire, and you'll receive advance notice going into June. But for the 2 weeks of May, starting May 18th, for those returning to work, you will be allowed to wear business casual.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next question concerns federal dollars. If the U.S. Congress passes a new stimulus for states and cities, do you expect Birmingham to be included?
I would hope our city is included, but for any city that will be included in any new money, it's going to be based on population. If you don't know this, Jefferson County is the only, organization outside of the state of Alabama that received federal CARES money because it met the minimum threshold of having 500,000 people. Jefferson County has 600,000+ people. There is no other municipality or county within the state that has that money. However, that $150 million, $100 million+ that Jefferson County received, there's no guarantee or anything in the law that says they have to give money directly to the city of Birmingham. So I am hoping that the federal government will do a second round of money directly to municipalities, and that they will lower the population threshold so Birmingham can receive direct funding.
All right, thank you, Mayor. This next question, I'm going to direct it, if I may, to Chief Sparks. Where would the Birmingham Public Library employees report to if there is no manager at that particular branch?
So this would be for Birmingham Public Library employees or any of our employees. If you have operational questions, your first line is to your department head. So please follow up with Mr. Floyd Council, who serves as the director of the Birmingham Public Library, or your immediate supervisor. But if you have questions, this is across the board for any of our departments about return to work. Each of the departments have submitted to us their operational plans, so they're prepped for you. Just reach out to your director or your supervisor. If you have challenges at that point, please follow back up with us. We'll make sure you connect with them.
Thank you. Our next question, and I would like to turn to Ms. Madizik. Why isn't telework a part of the plan of reopening? It would greatly help with staggering schedules so that we could social distance in the office.
So, as indicated earlier, teleworking is going to be a new policy that the city adopts. It will take us another week to get that in place, and it should be available after May 26th.
How will employees' medical information be handled and kept private at this time?
The city always takes every effort to make sure that the employee's medical information is kept confidential. Those records are kept locked in HR when we do have them.
And another one for you. Sorry, we're giving you a lot of rapid fire questions. If an employee has a high temperature, what are the next steps?
If an employee has a high temperature, they should stay at home. They should call in and report as normal. And if they are seeking medical diagnosis, they should reach out to HR to determine what their leave options are.
Thank you, Ms. McIsaac. The next question, are the elevator numbers set for the public as well? So if so, are there any suggestions on ways to help enforce those numbers?
So yes, the elevator numbers are expected for the public as well. However, we're asking for employees that you please be the first line of defense. If you get on the elevator, first of all, there'll be signs posted throughout the elevators. Our security detail will also help monitor elevators as well. But if you get on an elevator and you see that there are at least 4 people, at most 4 people, please step back off the elevator, and we're encouraging you to either wait for another one and take the stairs. Many of our citizens may not know, so they may get on the elevator and move forward. But yes, we will be monitoring those. Again, we're not asking you to engage or tell anyone else to get off. We're asking for our employees, if you see it, please get on and step back off. But yes, we will assist with enforcement.
How long will temperature checks last?
Indefinitely. So as long as we feel that there could potentially be challenges with our employees maybe coming to work and we need to do them, we will literally do them indefinitely.
Our next question, this may be for Ms. McIsaac. In regards to showing symptoms, what about symptoms that come from allergies but are similar to COVID-19?
So I do want to make it clear that no supervisor can indicate or tell an employee to go home without the permission of their director and human resources. If an employee suffers from allergy and they're experiencing those symptoms at work, HR may reach out to them to ask questions about their health condition. And once HR is satisfied, the employee will be able to continue to work. And if other employees start to harass or bother them, they should reach out to HR so that we can deal with that issue separately.
All right, thanks, Ms. McIsaac. Our next question, many people who have the virus do not present with a temperature. So how do you protect us from those people?
So that's a part of the challenge that comes with the virus, because the CDC has given us so many new different symptoms that employees can have that there's not one that you can really determine whether an employee has it or not. We're using temperature checks. We're also asking for employees to also self-regulate. And then if an employee shows some sign or symptom, we're asking that you don't engage that employee, whether it's a cough, sneeze, whatever, that you report that to either their director or to a supervisor, and then we'll follow up with HR. But there's no magical answer. We're taking every best step that we can in consultation with our medical experts on what we can do in terms with our observations to put protocols in place when we do recognize that an employee may be facing challenges to get them the level of assistance and support needed.
Our next question, when will DPW, when will Public Works go back to 5/8? Chief of Operations Kevin Moore will answer that question.
Thank you. Well, we're working currently with the Department of Public Works, and they are putting a plan together. They will roll their plan out on May 18th. That will address 410s and 5/8s. There are some people that are going to stay on 410s. There will be other people within the department that will do 5/8s.
Thank you, Chief Moore. Our next question, can we consider relaxing security protocols for staff entering buildings from the crosswalk, like keeping doors ajar or not having to put personal effects in bins to limit the spread?
We'll continue to evaluate our security protocols. We will definitely work with our head of security to make sure we address those issues. One of the most important things we want to do is make sure we keep those areas sanitized, but we are looking at those things, and we'll put some measures in place to address that.
All right, thank you. Our next question, stand by while I kind of scroll down to get it. Will the face covering ordinance be extended for the public after the 15th? Just as the mayor walks up, the face covering ordinance has been extended, but that's the general question.
That's right, Rick, just to delve a little deeper into that question and answer. The answer is yes. As of yesterday, the city council approved to extend the face covering in the city limits of Birmingham until May 22nd. If you notice, that's 1 week. What we're attempting to do is strike a balance between making sure the decisions we make are driven and given guidance by the health experts. So we don't want to extend it too long. What we want to do is take a measured approach every week to see where we are as a community as it relates to community spread. And in consultation with and advisement from the health department, if by next week we see numbers not trending in the best direction and or from their guidance, we'll see next week we extend it beyond the 22nd or not.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question, are there rules for conducting meetings in City Hall and other office workspace?
Yes, there are. So first of all, we're still encouraging as much as possible, please continue to do virtual meetings. We still want to limit in-person meetings to as few as possible unless absolutely mandatory. But if there is a need to do in-person meetings, we're asking that 1, participants wear masks or facial coverings, 2, that they're absolutely socially distanced. But please do virtual meetings as much as possible.
Another question for you, Chief Sparks. Will employees that are required to wear uniforms be allowed to wear business casual attire?
So the answer is no. We're asking for employees who wear uniforms to please continue wearing uniforms. These are the business casual attire is for employees that are non-uniform employees. So I want to make sure that I stress that uniform employees, please continue to wear your uniforms.
Thank you, Chief Sparks. Our next question to the mayor. What has the mayor and his team learned from this pandemic? What would you do differently? And what do you feel you did right?
Well, that's a pretty interesting question. I'll start with this. I think the coronavirus, from the start, for us, there was some anxiety and fear among just some basics, and that is taking care of not only our employees, but how do we take care of our residents? So I think one of the biggest things we've learned is that you have to be decisive in the decisions you make, and we have to be humble enough to realize that we're not epidemiologists. We're not doctors. We don't have a background in health. And so it was important to lock arms with the local health experts in our community and listen to the recommendations they've made. It turns out that because we listened to them, we sought their advisement. The city of Birmingham, unlike a lot of other areas, made quick, decisive decisions early. And we believe that's helped make sure that the COVID-19, although very viral, although community spread happened, that it didn't touch many parts of our community, and UAB was in a position to actually save enough lives. I think the other thing we've learned internally is with our employees is that there's a spirit of resiliency here, and that people were still ready to come to work. 2,500 out of 3,500 plus employees is a lot of people that, even if they had their own fear and anxiety, stood up, showed out every single day and came to work. And for that showed me that I think people have a lot of pride in working for the city of Birmingham. I think some of the things we've learned is this. We've never had a work from home policy. And so making sure that we think about the 21st century, think about how we work with technology, think about how we engage each other, not being in the same workspace. These are all the challenges we've had to work through, but I think we'll come out stronger on the other end of this, allowing different ways and new policies and engaging technology to make sure we're more efficient, and not only how we engage each other, but how we deliver services for our residents.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to remind everybody, if you have a question and you're listening by phone, you can text your question to 205-807-8231. That's 205-807-8231. You have another number you can text to. That's 205-335-2348. That's 205-335-2348. Our next question, dealing with health information. What if I refuse to provide information regarding my healthcare conditions or symptoms to my director or HR?
In these types of situations, employees still do have the right of privacy, but the government has recognized that employers have the right to stop the spread of contagious diseases in the workplace, and therefore the city is allowed to inquire about your health conditions. And if you refuse to give that information, we will deal with that on a case-by-case situation, and I believe Chief Sparks has something to add.
And we would appeal to all of our employees during this time. We know that there may be many situations where you would not want to share symptoms or healthcare information, or your health information. However, the mayor has stated consistently that we're all in this together, and we would ask that you consider your fellow co-workers, other city employees, while you withhold that information, what it could potentially do to them or expose them to. So we would ask for any employee that's considering withholding that information for personal reasons, also consider the effect of what withholding that information can do to your colleagues and your coworkers.
One more question, Chief Sparks, I'll turn to you. Back to the temperature checks in particular, how will it work for Public Works employees and others that do not report to City Hall?
So again, we'll be doing random temperature checks for all departments and all divisions. We understand that Public Works employees are also in the field, so we will also be keeping that in mind, but the random checks will not just be limited to City Hall. So I want to stress that. This is not just City Hall. This is for every department, every division, every facility, all City of Birmingham employees.
This is another question on that same topic, and Ms. McIsaac may want to be involved in this one, concerning the temperature checks or any healthcare screenings. How will that data be stored securely?
The temperature checks will be done through a screening device, and there will be no record kept of that. If an employee does have a positive temperature, they will report it to HR, and we will deal with that situation. We will not be requiring anyone to answer questions in writing unless they have traveled internationally. At that point, there will be a self-certification they have to complete.
All right, thanks, Ms. McIsaac. Our next question concerns childcare. Just 1 second, let me pull this one up. Can we include kids younger than 6 as well as special needs children for our camp?
So that could potentially be a challenge with our May Day camp. However, we will coordinate with our partners. Children under 6, we do have partners that have allowed support for that age group, and obviously special needs children. We want to make sure that they are attended to based on their needs. That's a specific skill set that we don't want just any person handling children with special needs or children under the age of 6. And so if you find that the partners that we have that support child care for children under 6 does not meet your need, again, we've introduced several other options for you, but specifically for parents with children who have special needs, follow up with us, specifically with HR, so we can identify resources that are available in the community that support children with special needs, but that will not be a part of the May Day camp.
And another question for you on the same topic. Is it possible, can we extend the Birmingham Day Camp until public schools open?
So we will review that. A part of what we wanted to do for the first couple of weeks is make sure that support was provided during the time that school will be out. Again, that school will be in, and that's through the end of May. We will evaluate upon school closing or the virtual school closing, and then we'll follow up if there's an opportunity for us to extend. We wanted to make sure that we covered the first 2 weeks since employees will be returning.
All right, thank you. I'm going to try to group a couple of questions that are related to each other. To the mayor, the first question, can any information be provided at this time regarding the impact of COVID-19 on the city budget for fiscal year 2021 and potential impacts to employees or city services?
Yes, so we've continued to evaluate the financial crisis that the COVID-19 can have on our city. We know that this health crisis created an economic crisis in our city and community. And the economic crisis will potentially create a financial crisis in our city. I'm going to attempt to write something on the board, so I'll ask my team to stop me if, for the viewers, you can't see what I'm writing. But I do want to remind you, for every dollar that comes into the city of Birmingham, that it is made up of business license, It is made up of sales tax. It is made up of occupational taxes. It's also made up of use tax. It is also made up of, property taxes. It's also made up of lodging taxes and fees, which include permits, PEP, as well as other departments. We know that sales tax have taken a hit. We know occupational taxes have taken a hit. We know that use taxes have taken a hit. And because we haven't had events in our city, lodging taxes have also taken a hit. When you add on top of that for the 2 weeks of March, we had all of April, many businesses were closed. Because those businesses were closed, we didn't receive the sales taxes and the occupational taxes and the use taxes we would get. Although the governor said a lot of companies and businesses can open in May, we know that many businesses are still closed. So May is still questionable. We also know that various businesses such as Lucy's, such as Z's, such as Babalu, such as many other businesses have closed, which means we'll never see their business license again. We'll never receive sales taxes or occupational taxes from those companies again. Saying all that to say that between the business license, sales tax, occupational tax, and lodging tax, they make up 80 cents of every dollar that comes in. Well, for every dollar that comes in, you have to consider for every dollar that goes out. 70 cents of every dollar that goes out goes to our employees. It goes to your base salary, it goes to your COLA, it goes to your merit pay, it goes to longevity, it goes to insurance, it goes towards pension. 70 cents of every dollar that goes out of Birmingham goes to our employees. So the question is, what are the things we're considering? Is everything on the table? The answer is yes. I do want you to know, and I will continue to say this, I have one priority, that is to keep every city employee employed. Every city employee employed. And so I want you to think about your base salary, your merit, your COLA, your longevity, your pension, your insurance. I want you to think about the department heads, think about all these vacant positions. Think about all the travel different departments do. Think about supplies, think about all these things in each department as it relates to the budget. If the number one priority is to keep you employed, then everything else is on the table as it relates to projecting any budget shortfalls and how do we offset not having enough money. I will tell you that as it relates to terminations, furloughs, or decreasing pay, that is a break glass here scenario, and we hope to never get there. However, in order not to get there, we'll have to make some tough, hard decisions in other places as it relates to moving forward. So I hope I answered that question.
Mayor, I'll just, because one of the other questions, and you did touch on that, but just in case people were looking for this in particular, where is the administration on a possible decision to furlough city employees?
So again, I'm going to try to write this out so you can see it, and I hope you all can hear me. $0.70 of every dollar. 70 cents of every dollar goes to employees. That is made up of your base salary, merit, COLA, longevity, pension, and insurance. Again, 70 cents of every dollar that goes out of the city of Birmingham goes to employees. That is made up of your base salary, merit, COLA, longevity, pension, insurance. Again, the number one priority is to keep you employed. Number one priority is to keep every city employee employed. That lies right here. That means things such as merit, COLA, longevity. We have to see if we have enough money to do those things. In addition to that, we have to see how insurance will work. Today, we don't know the answer to that. The question was, I'll start backwards with fire termination, furlough, pay cuts. I'm going to put this in the box. And the name of this box is break glass here. These are the things we don't want to do. We don't want to fire people or lay off people. We don't want to furlough people, and we don't want to have pay cuts. Again, this is break glass here. That means as it relates to vacant positions, as it relates to merit, COLA, longevity, we got to see if we have enough money to do those things, because the bottom line is this: in order to keep you employed, everything else is on the table. Again, I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question, we're getting a lot of questions about the May Day camp that we were discussing. I'm going to ask Chief Sparks if he will come up. I'll throw a couple of these questions, but as he goes up to the lectern, I also want to remind folks, you can go to birminghamal.gov/COVID policy. That's COVIDPOLICY. That is a site designed for city employees where you can see all the latest policies we put in place dealing with city employees, internal policies. So you can go to birminghamal.gov/COVID policy. With that, Chief Sparks, I'll ask, how do kids qualify for the camp? How do I get more information, which I think we just shared? And would a part-time employee qualify for those services?
So how do kids qualify for the camp? They only have to be children of City of Birmingham employees between the ages of 5 and 12. Rick Journey has spoken to how you get more information about it. But again, the camp is being facilitated in partnership between our Mayor's Office Division of Youth Services as well as our Park and Recreation Department. So you can feel free to both check the City of Birmingham's website or follow up with DYS or Park and Rec, and they'll provide you with more information.
There's another question. Is it possible for employees to pay for May Day camp through payroll deduction?
So we're recommending that employees use a certified check or money order to reserve their spots. Payroll deduction is not set up for May Day camp at this time. However, if we do choose to extend it, that may be an option, but at this time we're asking for certified check or a cashier's check or a money order.
All right, thank you, Chief Sparks. Our next question returns to the topic we asked the mayor moments ago. This deals with one particular area. What about an early retirement incentive package? Is that being considered?
The short answer is yes. Everything is being considered, but I look forward to discussing that more with the finance team as it relates to how do we solve for projected financial fall and make sure that the priority is to keep all of our employees employed.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question, will the public be subject to temperature checks upon entering the building?
So we reviewed this option multiple times, and the short answer is no, for a number of reasons. First of all, temperature checks being administered need to be administered by either healthcare provider, or they need to be administered by a security person or someone with Birmingham Fire and Rescue. So for all of our facilities, it's just not practical for us to be able to provide those people, because there's going to need to be follow-up if someone is, if their temperature is elevated. Somebody needs to be authorized to follow up with the next steps. So what we're mandating for the protection of our employees as citizens come in is, one, that everyone coming into a city facility wear face masks, and two, that they practice social distancing and that we use staggering methods. But we went through this time and time again, and we don't want employees at the various work sites responsible for conducting temperature checks and then having to engage a citizen should their temperature be elevated. So we've thought long and hard. There are There are really no best answers, but we thought the most effective way was to mandate masks, practice social distancing, and then use staggering methods so that citizens are not inside of our facilities unnecessarily.
Thank you, Chief Sparks. Just to call attention to the time, we are about to wrap up our time for this virtual meeting. With that, I'll ask one final question to the mayor. Afterwards, he will provide his closing comments, and I will provide you with a reminder on where you can get some more information or where you can watch this again. With that, Mayor, the question is, if we see a downward trend of the virus, can you or will you override the governor's recommendations?
So I would like to remind our city employees that the state of Alabama has 169 cities. The state of Alabama also has 67 counties. And you should know that Jefferson County and Mobile County are very different from the other 65 counties. In addition to that, Birmingham is a very unique city within the state of Alabama. One out of 5 of our citizens are over the age of 60. We have the largest African-American population in the state, the 4th largest Black population in America. In addition to that, unfortunately, we have a lot of people with pre-existing and underlying health conditions. When you add on top of that, we are the most densely populated city in the state. Community spread here in Birmingham, as well as those who can possibly get it and make it harder for them to recover, is going to look very different from any other part of Alabama. That is why we've made the decisions we've made, separate and apart from what the state has done in conjunction with our local health experts. All of that to say this, we hope for the best. At a certain point in May, definitely in June, we would like to see the numbers decline and decrease. But any decision we make to extend or decrease what we're doing on behalf of protecting your health won't be in competition with or in lieu of what the governor is doing. It will be what we think is in the best interest of the people we serve here under the laws that we can exercise that work for Birmingham residents. And so with that said, we've been together an hour, and I want to give you your time back. I want to thank you for being part of this town hall style meeting and allowing us to share some information with you. I'm excited to have you back. I just want to make sure you understand the whole notion of we, us, our versus me, I, or you. And where we are moving forward as a city, it's all about we, us, our. So remember, this is teamwork. Remember shared sacrifice. Remember community. Remember your colleague. Remember your coworker. And we, us, our, all have work to do together to move the city forward. Remember our 5 core values of customer service, efficiency, effectiveness, transparency, and accountability. And let's work hard to make sure we deliver services for our residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I would like to echo the comments of the mayor. We all thank you and appreciate you for your service and commitment to our city. Just a reminder for you, some of the items that we touched on here, we will have the executive order referred to by Ms. Madizik posted on birminghamal.gov/COVID policy. That's COVID policy. We will also you can also go there to read more about the May Day camp and get the information about that. Whenever there is a release dealing with policy issues for city employees, we will put it at that location, birminghamal.gov/COVID policy. With that, thank you again for your service to the city. Stay safe and have a good day.